I heard there was rumors, people talking that you guys don't want a rehydration clause in the event if the fight does happen. Do you guys not want one?
Don't give a damn about that. You can only get so big, to get too big, then that's on him.
Yeah, people want to see that fight, and maybe they see that fight. We don't know yet, right? But maybe they see that fight, and I'm always open to good fights,
Terence Crawford has exposed Canelo Alvarez for demanding a rehydration clause for their fight. Meanwhile, Bernie Thaw Boxer of Team Crawford stated in an interview that Crawford and Canelo's bout is on for September 13th. It hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but Bernie spilled the beans. Crawford is set to jump to 168 pounds to take on Canelo for his trio of super middleweight titles.
To 168, I wouldn't have to lose any weight. I wouldn't have to strain my body. I can just focus on getting stronger and getting sharper and just work on the things that I need to work on to fight a guy of that size.
You're on an 11-fight knockout streak. Is it important to you to continue that, or you just kind of take this fight as it happens?
I just take the fights how it happens. If the knockout come, it come. If it don't, I'm just looking at securing the victory at the end of the day. I never go in a fight looking for the knockout, but if it's there, I'm definitely going to take it.
Prediction on this one?
Like always, a victory.
All right, we'll see how it happens on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Terence Crawford, Israel Madrimov, Saturday from BMO Stadium here in Los Angeles. Champ, always good to see you. Good luck on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Boxing fans were already aware that Crawford and Canelo were set to clash in September, with leaks surfacing weeks ago. However, this marks the first official confirmation from someone within their camps. Addressing fan criticism that Terence Crawford should first establish himself at 168 before facing Canelo, he dismissed the notion outright, responding simply, "Why?" He then laid out Crawford's staggering resume: 2-division undisputed champion, 3-division unified titleist, and a 4-division world champion. However, he notably omitted any mention of the caliber of opponents Crawford conquered to claim those belts, fighters largely seen as beatable. It's on, baby. September 13th. Look forward to it. Crawford versus Canelo. As I said, Crawford versus Canelo. Yeah, it's confirmed. Crawford versus Canelo, not the other way around, said Bernie Thaw Boxer to Fight Hype about the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford mega fight being on for September 13th. Team Crawford stands up, pound for pound, the best in the world. Soon to be the super middleweight champion of the world, said Bernie. On social media, the majority of fans encourage the fight rather than heavily criticize it. Despite his age, lack of strength, power, and experience at 168, many people think Crawford can prevail. Many believe Crawford is unbeatable, much like the fervent supporters of David Benavidez. They've watched him dominate for so long that the idea of him losing to Canelo seems almost unthinkable. But a closer look at his 17-year career tells a different story. His success isn't just about skill, it's also about the level of competition he's faced. And frankly, he hasn't been tested by elite opposition. When Crawford stepped up to 154 pounds against Israel Madrimov last August, he delivered a lackluster performance far from his usual sharpness. Though he secured a unanimous decision victory, the fight was tighter than expected, with judges scoring at 115, 113, 116, 112, and 115, 113. For those who know Brian Bomac McIntyre well, there's little doubt about the fight truly occupying his thoughts. Though not yet official, speculation is mounting that his star pupil, Terence Crawford, could clash with Canelo Alvarez as early as September. As anticipated, this historic showdown has ignited a storm of speculation and rumors. At the heart of the debate, one topic continues to dominate conversations: the rehydration clause. Essentially, a rehydration clause is a rule that says, you can't be much heavier when we fight. You have to stay close to what you weighed in at today. The concerns likely arise from the stark weight disparity between Crawford and Alvarez. Before stepping up to 154 pounds, the southpaw from Nebraska competed nearly 3 divisions below Alvarez. Yet, in true Bomax fashion, he brushed off the notion without a second thought. Ricky Sumfal-Fakti of Ring Magazine recently recounted a conversation with Bomac during a meeting at a gym in Las Vegas. Sumfal-Fakti mentioned hearing rumors about the team's stance on a rehydration clause, asking if they opposed having one in the event the fight materialized. In response, McIntyre clarified that he was indifferent to how much weight an opponent might gain after the weigh-in. He expressed that if an opponent overdid it, becoming sluggish or hindered by their own size, it would be their issue, not his or Crawford's. He emphasized that it wasn't a concern for him, stating it was entirely on the opponent if their size became a disadvantage.
On him.
So do you like Terrence's chances even without a
I mean, I
rehydration
love
clause?
Terrence's chances. When it first came out of his mouth, he said he wanted to fight me.
And yeah, you guys have zero issues with.
I have no issue with it.
No issues.
Terrence ain't got an issue with it. I ain't got an issue.
The reporter continued to probe, questioning whether Bomac still believed Crawford could secure victory without any rehydration limit. Without hesitation, Bomac reaffirmed his unwavering faith in Crawford, insisting that weight restrictions wouldn't alter the outcome. Som Falfakdi expressed some doubts, pointing out that in the past, fighters facing larger opponents often prioritized having a rehydration clause. In response, Brian McIntyre dismissed the idea as nonsense. He argued that the concept of a rehydration clause was utterly absurd, criticizing the notion of limiting how much weight a fighter could gain after the weigh-in. For McIntyre, once the weigh-in is complete, it should be up to the fighter to manage their weight however they choose. He emphasized that fighters should simply step into the ring and fight like true competitors, especially since they agreed to the bout.
Because, in the past, most guys, when they're fighting bigger guys like that, that's going to be the first thing that they want.
That's some pussy shit. That's some weak shit. Oh, you can't come in this much and shit. Oh, man, get the fuck out of here. It's boxing. You got on the scale. I made the weight. Regardless when I come back, ass. Hey, you accepted the fight. Let's get in there and fight like men. Simple as that.
Appreciate you, Bomac. Thanks for the time, man.
The confusion likely started after the Ryan Garcia versus Gervonta Davis bout, where the term rehydration clause entered the spotlight. Now, it's essential to clarify the issue and ensure better communication moving forward to avoid any more misunderstandings. To provide some background, Mike Coppinger recently emphasized that official contracts have not yet been signed. Nevertheless, there's a solid chance that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford might square off over the Mexican Independence Day weekend in September, assuming all details are finalized. And as Crawford said all along, it would take place at 168 pounds with no rehydration clause, said ESPN's Boxing Insider. For boxing enthusiasts, this showdown pits two of today's elite fighters against each other in a high-stakes clash to decide who truly deserves the title of the sport's best pound-for-pound contender. Crawford is likely to move up from light middleweight to super middleweight for a highly anticipated clash with the Mexican, a bout that is shaping up to be one of the biggest spectacles of 2025. In an interview with IFL TV, Hearn admitted that Crawford was at a significant disadvantage in what would be a showdown of two generations of greats. Hearn said, "It's a massive spectacle. Crawford's coming up really 3 weight classes. He's just come up 1 weight class, or he's even come up 3 weight classes before that. I think that he's physically disadvantaged in the fight, but he's a brilliant pound-for-pound fighter. It's 2 generational greats fighting each other." Another major topic leading up to this fight will be the rehydration clause. Hearn disclosed that Alvarez would have passed on this opportunity if that particular clause had been in place. Hearn only said Canelo would never do it, in response to the question of why Crawford hasn't negotiated a rehydration provision. Terence Crawford has consistently embraced the philosophy that boxing should be a relentless and evolving challenge, whether it's adapting to a bulkier physique or conquering 2 weight classes. He explains that this is the reason he's created the chance to rise through 2 additional weight classes and face off against fellow 4-division champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, with the fight set to be confirmed for September. After attending his gym buddy Steven Nelson's main event weigh-in for Saturday night's fight against Alvarez's WBO #1 ranked opponent, Diego Pacheco, Crawford told Boxing Scene in an exclusive interview Friday at the Cosmopolitan, "That's what great fighters are all about, testing yourself against all the odds." Crawford, with an impressive 41-0 record, made a victorious leap from his reign as the undisputed welterweight champion.
Take the fights how it happens. If the knockout come, it come. If it don't, I'm just looking at securing the victory at the end of the day. I never go in a fight looking for the knockout, but if it's there, I'm definitely going to take it.
Prediction on this one?
Like always, a victory.
All right, we'll see how it happens on ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Terence Crawford, Israel Madrimov, Saturday from BMO Stadium here in Los Angeles. Champ, always good to see you. Good luck on Saturday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Saudi power player Turki Alalshik has poured significant resources into honoring his respect and admiration for Crawford, elevating him to the top billing for Alalshik's inaugural U.S. event in August. Despite some tension with Alvarez, Alalshik has worked tirelessly to push this highly anticipated showdown toward reality. Crawford said, "I'm definitely grateful for what Turki has done in the sport of boxing, making all the biggest fights happen, making all of these fan-friendly fights. He's a big fan himself. So he's putting forth so much into making the fights that everyone wants to see by putting the money behind it. I'm very happy with how things are headed and excited about where everything's going. In 2023, Canelo Alvarez made headlines with his statement, "If you see his record, he just beat one good fighter." Every Terence Crawford fan was taken aback by the unified super middleweight's declaration that he would not be participating in the fight. A year and a half has passed, and now we're on the edge of our seats, waiting for the showdown between the two to come to fruition. As talks between their teams heat up, old remarks are being reignited. Just a few days ago, when a clip from a 2023 interview resurfaced, Terence Crawford's sister didn't take kindly to Canelo's insinuations. "They all sing the same song," remarked Letitia Crawford on X. However, the Guadalajara native clarified his previous position and acknowledged the potential for conflict in an interview with the Ring magazine. During an interview with Mike Coppinger for Ring magazine, the ESPN journalist inquired about Canelo's views on a potential fight with Crawford and his opinions on Bud. The interviewer acknowledged that, regardless of the outcome, should the unified champion beat Terence Crawford, many critics would likely attribute the defeat to the weight difference between the two fighters. Canelo, however, seems unfazed by the criticisms. In his view, they've only fueled the excitement surrounding the fight, making fans even more eager to watch. Canelo Alvarez acknowledged the public's desire for the fight, hinting that it might happen, saying that fans maybe would get to see it. The 34-year-old went on to discuss the potential of the matchup, taking a moment to praise Terence Crawford. Alvarez described Crawford as a skilled fighter with exceptional abilities. While he admitted the fight could take place, he remained uncertain, stating, "We might witness that battle. Perhaps. We don't know yet," and acknowledged the possibility of an intense showdown if it materializes.
Don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter. He's really good abilities and everything. And maybe we will see that fight. Maybe, we don't know yet.
Canelo, look, something you said to me a while ago really resonated. You said basically, if somebody's going to disrespect me, I don't want to punish them in the ring and beat them up and say, "Hey, here's all this money," because everyone always makes their career high payday facing you, right?
Yeah.
The 62-2 fighter also opened up on why he would prefer to take on Terence Crawford over David Benavidez in the same conversation. Canelo Alvarez explained that he declined the challenge due to the disrespect he felt from Benavidez and his father. He believed that agreeing to the fight under those circumstances would have meant giving the 28-year-old the biggest payday of his career, win or lose, a gesture he wasn't willing to make. Canelo Alvarez explained that at this stage in his career, he is willing to fight anyone, including all the top champions. However, he expressed his displeasure with the way certain fighters approach him when calling him out. He stated that such challenges do not warrant financial rewards, emphasizing that he is now in a position where he can make his own decisions. Canelo added that he simply didn't appreciate the manner in which Bud had approached him about setting up a bout. The unified super middleweight champion hasn't completely ruled out the fight despite the disrespect. But like I say, you never know too. Maybe someday I wake up and I say I want to that guy, admitted the 34-year-old. At this stage, a showdown between them seems improbable, as Benavidez is gearing up to take on David Morrell and intends to remain at 175 pounds. In the meantime, let's hope Canelo and Crawford can strike a deal, giving fans the much-anticipated fight this year. Canelo Alvarez seems to be aware of the commotion his year-old statement has caused, but he doesn't seem to care. He has stated repeatedly that he wants to battle the greatest boxers and he can do whatever he wants. According to ESPN's Mike Coppinger, a highly anticipated showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is reportedly nearing completion. Bob Arum admits he wouldn't rule out Terence Crawford pulling off a major upset when he faces Canelo Alvarez. Bob Arum, who had been behind several of Crawford's fights until their split in 2021, believes the Omaha native's skill in switching stances could present challenges for the Mexican, even with the weight difference that forces the 37-year-old to move up 2 weight divisions. Arum told Fight Hype, "I wouldn't count Crawford out in any fight because Crawford has a unique talent. He's a great boxer puncher and he is totally ambidextrous. So he drives his opponent crazy because the opponent trains to fight a right-handed fighter and ends up fighting a southpaw." Meanwhile, Crawford achieved the feat of becoming a 4-weight world champion, claiming the WBA super welterweight title with a points victory over Israel Madrimov. It's still uncertain if Canelo, a 4-division world champion, will step into the ring on his traditional Cinco de Mayo date this May. One potential opponent is IBF champion William Skull, should Canelo choose to fight before facing Crawford. A win in that bout would secure Canelo's return to the undisputed super middleweight champion status.
The likelihood of a fight with you and Terence Crawford, it would be one of the biggest in boxing.
We don't talking about yet about the fight. Me and we're gonna know each other, and then we wanna see what happens.
And when do you want to get out next? I know you're here in London tonight. When are you going to be in a camp?
Huh?
When are you going to be in a camp? I know you're
In
here.
camp, training camp in March.
Okay, so when
At the beginning of the middle of the February or March, yeah.
With the massive The Last Crescendo card from Riyadh season being the most anticipated event scheduled to far, the upcoming 12 months are expected to be a great one for boxing. The event will feature 3 World Championship bouts, adding even more excitement to the night. A fight gaining momentum outside of that card is the potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. This comes after the two athletes recently sat down with His Excellency Turki Alalshik in London over the past few days. If a battle between Alvarez and Crawford were to happen, it would be one that fight fans would be enthralled with. The location is the next issue, though. Since most of the world's biggest boxing bouts now take place in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh has emerged as the new fight capital. But according to Eddie Hearn of Matchroom, who has previously dealt with Alvarez, a Canelo-Crawford battle is only effective in one nation. Hearn told DAZN News, "Canelo versus Crawford only works for me in America. It's just wherever Alalshik going to be involved in that process. Like Ben Eubank will be in England, but he will be involved to get it made. I'm not sure Canelo-Crawford happens in Saudi, if I'm honest, or at all. But I don't see a lot of options for Canelo at the moment." In 2024, Crawford competed only once, securing a victory over Israel Madrimov to claim his 4th world title in as many weight classes. Meanwhile, Alvarez enhanced his resume with 2 wins. According to reports, Canelo and Crawford are getting closer to a September bout for Alvarez's combined super middleweight titles. Crawford, the reigning WBA super welterweight champion, is stepping up 2 weight classes to challenge the Mexican sensation, and reports suggest he's not asking for a rehydration clause. The weight difference between the two is the main reason why Mexican great Chavez thinks his countryman will defeat the Omaha man via knockout. Chavez told ES News, "Canelo is very strong. He has a lot of weight. Canelo will knock him out in 6 rounds. Crawford is a good fighter, but there's weight classes. Crawford, the reigning WBA super welterweight champion, is stepping up 2 weight classes to challenge the Mexican sensation, and reports suggest he's not asking for a rehydration clause. Despite not fighting since defeating Israel Madrimov in August, Crawford is not contemplating an interim fight according to Boxing Scene. When he fights Alvarez, the 37-year-old, who hopes to become a 5-weight world champion, doesn't think weight will be an issue. In boxing, reaching the pinnacle often means having the power to call the shots. Take Canelo Alvarez, for instance. The former undisputed super middleweight champion is reportedly closing in on a massive showdown with former undisputed welterweight champion Terence Crawford. Meanwhile, David Benavidez, once Canelo's WBC mandatory challenger, is left on the sidelines with nothing to show for it. In a recent interview with Fight Hype, Benavidez Sr. shared his thoughts on the fight, which sources suggest could be scheduled for September in Las Vegas. My only comment would be I would be embarrassed to ask for that fight before David Benavidez, Jose said. It's important to mention that Canelo had previously asked for $200 million to face Benavidez, sparking considerable frustration among fans. However, Benavidez Sr. believes that both Benavidez and Canelo are simply too much for Terence Crawford. Eventually, he said that he didn't think the possible bout made sense, since he thought Canelo would find it too simple. "I mean, I'm not interested. I don't think it's a fair fight. I don't think it's a kind of equal fight. Canelo is just too big for Terence Crawford," he told Fight Hype. However, what is David Benavidez's opinion of the altercation? During a December interview with Sean Zittel, David Benavidez weighed in on the prospect of a clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Crawford, fresh off his victory against Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds, currently holds the WBA super welterweight title. However, he would have to rise 2 more weight classes to challenge Canelo at super middleweight. Benavidez acknowledged Crawford's technical prowess, but voiced doubts about his influence reaching higher divisions. Benavidez said, "To be honest with you, Crawford is one of the best technical fighters I have ever seen. When he went to 154, I'm not saying he had problems, but he looked like he didn't have the power he had at 147, and he'd still have to come up 2 or 3 weight classes. Crawford is a one-of-a-kind fighter, but weight classes must be respected. I'd give Canelo the edge." Mike Tyson, the legendary former heavyweight champion, shared his take on the upcoming potential matchup. Speaking with Marca, Tyson offered his perspective on the fight, expressing skepticism about the smaller Crawford's chances. In fact, Tyson thinks that Bud Crawford may be taking on more than he can handle by stepping up to challenge Canelo. In the It Is What It Is podcast, Tyson stated, "I don't like that fight. Too much weight for Crawford." The former heavyweight champion of the world further added, "He had a close fight with the last guy. He fought because he was big and really awkward. He shouldn't have even fought that guy." However, Tyson isn't the only man to voice his issue with the bout. Rehydration Cavalier, who squared off against Bud Crawford in December 2019, shares a similar perspective. The 24-2 fighter, with 19 knockouts under his belt, experienced a brutal defeat, getting knocked down in the 7th round and twice in the 9th at Madison Square Garden in New York. So what's his take on the upcoming Canelo-Crawford clash? A renowned boxing page, Dan the Boxing Man, posted a video on X. In the clip, Rehydration Cavalier was asked, "How does Terence Crawford do against Canelo?" Expressing his doubts, he stated, "I hope they don't make that fight. I don't think it's a good idea for Crawford to move up in weight and fight Canelo. Canelo is just too big, too good." At first, Showbiz the Adult shared a viewpoint similar to that of Mike Tyson and Cavalier's, doubting Crawford's ability to overcome Canelo, mainly because of the size difference. He wasn't alone in this skepticism, as many analysts echoed concerns over Crawford's ability to withstand clean punches, especially after his WBO interim world super welterweight bout against Israel Mamov at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles. In that match, Crawford absorbed several heavy blows from Madrimov. To support his stance, Showbiz referenced Floyd Mayweather Jr. Owens' triumph over Canelo in September 2013. Where the size disadvantage didn't stop Mayweather from emerging victorious. Showbiz's perspective has shifted over time. In a subsequent video, he foresaw Crawford emerging victorious, arguing that Canelo's tendency to struggle when forced to move backward could be a vulnerability. He referenced Canelo's losses to Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol, both of whom leveraged superior footwork and ring IQ to diminish the Mexican star's punching power. Showbiz theorized that Crawford could adopt a similar approach, utilizing a body jab and smart foot movement to control the pace, staying out of range of Canelo's heavy punches. As anticipation mounts for this possible clash, opinions on the fight remain split. In the meantime, boxing enthusiasts are on tenterhooks, eagerly awaiting the next thrilling installment of this captivating saga.
Check out the projected odds that came out. One of the odds projectors say Canelo is opening up as the favorite, -130. Crawford is +100. That's damn near 50-50. Another one says Canelo Alvarez is the favorite, -185. Crawford is the underdog, only +55. Let me tell you something. If those are the odds on my bookie come day one, I'm max betting Canelo Alvarez. I could give a damn. If y'all mean to tell me that y'all think it's 50-50, I'ma empty my account on Canelo Alvarez. I don't have to bet KO, none of that shit. If y'all think it's that close, I'ma empty my account. $30,000, I can give a shit. I'm about to come up. I was gonna bet on Crawford thinking he'd be the huge underdog. Y'all got it that narrow?
So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.